When the flooding started, everyone blamed the old seawall. The outer districts were the first to go. Docks, warehouses, half-abandoned apartment blocks built to low for modern tides. The city council promised reinforcements and evacuations, and for a while it seemed the water would recede. It never did. Instead, it rose slowly, persistently, but only in certain buildings, not streets. Not basements, rooms, entire apartment interiors filled with black seawater, while hallways outside remained dry. Investigators called it structural seepage, but no pipes were broken, no cracks opened, walls simply wept salt. I worked municipal safety inspections. When Building 47 lost tenants overnight, I was assigned to document damage. The stairwell was bone dry when I entered. Dust lay untouched on each step, but the third-floor corridor smelled of brine. At the end of the hall, apartment 3C stood open. Inside it, floor to ceiling, water pressed gloomily against invisible limits. There was no glass, no barrier of any kind, just a perfect vertical wall of seawater standing still in the doorway like a liquid mirror. Fish drifted inside it. I watched a pale eel glide by, completely unaware it was suspended mid-hallway several kilometers from the ocean. A floating light drifted past its scales, a light that blinked. I crossed the threshold. Cold swallowed my legs. The instant I touched the water, gravity vanished. I drifted forward, as if the apartment were no longer an apartment, but a vertical shaft descending into some impossible ocean, carved inside the building itself. No pressure, no choking. I could breathe. Below me, the apartment extended downward infinitely, each room stacked beneath itself like a recursive architectural nightmare. Thousands of apartments, identical layouts, stretching downward forever beneath the tide. Windows open to darkness, doors ajar toward other drowned chambers, furniture anchored to nothing, reflections warped across surfaces as if reality itself were submerged. Movement stirred below. Figures rose slowly through the water, human-shaped at first glance, but when they neared, the truth ruptured the illusion. Their skin shimmered like stretched glass. Eyes were smooth voids that drank the light from surrounding water. Their mouths opened and closed endlessly, not in drowning, but in mechanical imitation of speech. When they spoke, it invaded my skull directly. Welcome to the lower orientation. Another voice followed. Subject self-containment terminated. I kicked backward, pulled myself out of the water and into dry air, collapsing onto the hallway tiles. The liquid wall reformed instantly behind me. Silent. As if nothing had happened, I reported everything. They marked it hallucination under occupational stress, but more buildings flooded, more rooms swallowed, and people vanished. Those assigned to inspect submerged residences were simply gone. No bodies, no witnesses, just names removed from contact lists. One inspector left a file behind before disappearing. Blueprint schematics. They showed our city sitting atop a subterranean network of vertical antechambers, structures that defied geological models completely. Not excavated. Grown. Massive spiraling lattice of hollow architecture buried beneath our districts like an inverted metropolis. And inside these chambers, the drowned apartments, houses seeded into the growth like cells, copies of rooms replicated infinitely downward, all filled with ocean water that never recedes. I returned to Building 47 alone one night. Apartment 3C waited. The water shimmered faintly. I stepped inside again. Instant descent. The chamber labyrinth enveloped me. I swam downward past impossible rows of homes, refrigerators floating beside folded laundry, family photos dissolving into blurred aquatic decay. More figures appeared, drifting upward now. Closer. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Their blended voices converged. You are late. Surface settlers should have migrated. I tried to speak, but water filled my lungs, not choking, but silencing. A massive figure descended through the vertical dark, not humanoid, a convergence form, comprised of hundreds of twisted occupant shapes fused around a central core pulsing dim aquamarine. Air vanished around it as gravity twisted toward its mass. The chambers require population. Vision fragmented. Reality folded inward. I understood everything at once. The tides weren't rising naturally. They were being drawn downward, harvested, feeding the construction of this abyssal city beneath ours. And we humans were not victims of flooding. We were residents being relocated. Our surface homes were slowly transforming into entry points to the true metropolis growing below the sea. Something clutched my arm. I was dragged upward, pulled through the liquid barrier back into the hallway. Emergency responders stood over me, drenched and shaking, claiming I'd been found floating unconscious in an empty apartment. Apartment 3C now showed no water at all. Just bare walls, empty rooms, and a strange damp salt residue shaped, vaguely like footprints, leading straight into the floor itself. The project was quietly terminated months later. Buildings sealed. Reports buried. But every high tide now brings new disappearances, and some nights from beneath the city, subtle vibrations echo upward through bed frames and walls. Tremors that don't register as earthquakes. Rhythms. Expansion rhythms. And sometimes, standing alone near the harbor, I hear muffled voices rising from deep underground, calling from rooms that no longer exist, inviting us home.